A note was left in your daughter's box. How old is your daughter?
6 years old. She's gone. 6 years old.
On the morning after Christmas in 1996, what looked like a quiet holiday in Boulder, Colorado turned into one of the most debated crime stories in modern American history. Inside the Ramsey family home, everything changed in an instant. A handwritten ransom letter was discovered on the staircase. The message stretched across 3 pages and demanded exactly $118,000 in exchange for the safe return of 6-year-old JonBenét Ramsey. Panic spread immediately. Patsy Ramsey called emergency services and reported that her daughter had been taken. Friends arrived. Police entered the home. Hours passed while everyone focused on the idea that a kidnapping had occurred. But later that day, the investigation took a horrifying turn. JonBenét's father, John Ramsey, went into the basement and found his daughter's body. She had been wrapped in a white blanket. Around her neck was a homemade garrote created using part of a paintbrush. Investigators later concluded she had suffered severe head trauma and strangulation. Evidence also suggested sexual assault. What initially appeared to be a kidnapping quickly became one of America's most infamous unsolved murder cases. Almost immediately, criticism surrounded the investigation. Authorities failed to properly secure the crime scene. Family, friends, and visitors moved around the house before evidence could be fully preserved. Investigators later faced criticism for allowing contamination of the scene during the earliest and most important hours. At the time, Boulder police had limited experience handling a case involving child homicide, media pressure, and such intense public attention. As mistakes accumulated, confidence in the investigation weakened. Early suspicion focused heavily on the Ramsey family. John and Patsy strongly denied any involvement and assembled a team of attorneys and private investigators to defend themselves. Public opinion became divided. Some believed the family's actions appeared suspicious, while others argued they were being unfairly judged under impossible circumstances. One of the strangest elements remained the ransom note. Many questioned why someone would stay inside the house long enough to write such a long message. Even more unusual, investigators determined the paper and pen appeared to come from inside the home itself. Handwriting analysis never produced a definitive answer. Some experts suggested characteristics that loosely resembled Patsy's writing, but no conclusive match was ever established. As years passed, certain pieces of evidence continued fueling different theories. DNA became one of the most discussed topics. Unknown DNA material was reportedly discovered beneath JonBenét's fingernails and in her clothing. Supporters of the intruder theory argue this evidence weakens the case against the family. Critics point out that the sample was limited and degraded, making interpretation difficult. Another mystery involved food. Undigested pineapple was reportedly found in JonBenét's stomach, indicating she may have eaten shortly before her death. Investigators also noted a bowl of pineapple found in the house with fingerprints linked to Burke Ramsey. Questions followed because the parents reportedly did not remember serving it. Some investigators also focused on marks found on JonBenét's body. Certain investigators proposed they may have been caused by a stun gun, supporting the theory that an outsider entered the house and subdued her before the attack. Others disagreed and questioned whether those marks truly matched that explanation. Attention also turned toward a broken basement window. Some believed it could have been used as an entry point. John Ramsey stated that he had broken the window himself months earlier, but debate around that detail continued. Because of all these unanswered questions, multiple theories emerged. One theory suggested Patsy Ramsey accidentally caused her daughter's death during a moment of anger, and later staged the scene to resemble a kidnapping. Supporters pointed toward the ransom note and circumstances surrounding its discovery. Another theory focused on JonBenét's brother, Burke. According to this idea, a conflict between siblings resulted in an accidental death, followed by an effort from the parents to protect their son. That theory gained attention but also drew criticism due to the lack of evidence suggesting violent behavior from Burke. Years later, Burke Ramsey filed legal action after media productions implied his involvement. The matter was eventually settled. In interviews, Burke later reflected on attending his sister's funeral. He described memories of seeing the small casket and struggling to understand the finality of the moment. He remembered sadness in his parents and recalled his father saying goodbye.
Did you go to JonBenét's funeral?
Yeah. Yep.
Do you remember it?
Yeah, I remember the viewing.
Did you go to JonBenét's funeral?
Yeah. Yep.
Do you remember it?
Yeah, I remember the viewing. I remember the casket was small and her eyes were closed. I think one of her eyes was a little bit like droopy or something. And I thought that was weird.
How did you feel seeing her?
A lot of sadness. I don't think I really fully grasped, like, after this, I won't see her again. I remember my parents being really upset. Like, I remember my dad leaning down and giving her a kiss.
Was it traumatizing to see her?
That was weird. That was traumatizing a little bit.
Another theory centered on an unknown sexual predator. Supporters argued the DNA findings, possible stun gun marks, and signs of forced entry pointed toward an outside attacker targeting JonBenét. There were also stranger theories. One involved Bill McReynolds, a family acquaintance who sometimes dressed as Santa Claus during Christmas events. Reports claimed he gave JonBenét unusual attention and mentioned returning after Christmas. Despite speculation, investigators never treated him as a serious suspect, and DNA did not connect him to the crime. As the investigation continued, media attention exploded. JonBenét's beauty pageant appearances became constant television material. Images of a young child dressed for competitions generated fascination and controversy. Reporters crowded outside the family home. The Ramseys were criticized for avoiding early police interviews and appearing publicly to declare their innocence. Supporters argued they were protecting themselves from public judgment. Critics believed their behavior appeared controlled and calculated. The pressure became relentless. John Ramsey later argued that the case should have been solved but was damaged from the beginning by investigative failures and lack of experienced leadership.
Almost everyone thinks they got away with murder.
Experienced people, this was not a hard case to solve. Shouldn't have been a hard case to solve. And that's what should have happened. And it didn't, because they didn't have experienced people on day one. And the conclusion was that I killed my daughter.
Do you have more hope now, this year, than you have had in a long time?
You know, this is something we've been trying to get accomplished from almost from day one. Get help from the outside.
Stun gun, to me, would not identify the killer, right? It would help in your defense,
right,
but it wouldn't identify the killer. We know
Correct.
a stun gun was used, right? The pictures indicate that. When she went to bed that night, those marks were not there. When she was found the next day, those burn marks were there. You know, it's clear as day.
And clearly quite a significant tool in the murderer's
It's a specialized
MO.
weapon,
Yep.
very unique.
Years later, discussions continued around specific evidence. Supporters of the intruder theory argued that marks on JonBenét's body supported their conclusions and emphasized that such details should not be ignored. Others remained unconvinced. Then another major development arrived. In 1999, a grand jury reportedly supported charges related to child abuse resulting in death against John and Patsy Ramsey. However, prosecutors declined to move forward, saying the available evidence was insufficient. In 2008, advances in DNA testing shifted the conversation again. Updated analysis excluded the immediate family, and the district attorney publicly announced that the Ramseys should no longer be considered suspects. Even with that announcement, debate never stopped. Critics continued pointing to the compromised crime scene and investigative decisions made during the earliest hours. Today, decades later, the murder of JonBenét Ramsey remains unsolved. Books, documentaries, interviews, and true crime investigations continue revisiting the case from every possible angle. For many people, the mystery represents more than one crime. It raises questions about media influence, public pressure, flawed investigations, and how quickly narratives can shape public opinion. Whether the answer involves an intruder, family involvement, an accident, or something no one has considered, one fact remains unchanged. no one has officially been identified as JonBenét Ramsey's killer. And after all these years, the case still leaves behind more questions than answers.